Hey everybody. Erin is coming to see us from Annapolis.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hey, I'll just give you a quick intro. This is Dr. Erin Kinney, and I've known her. How long have I known you? Like
I
3 years?
think
Yeah,
3 years. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. She's a naturopathic doctor she's had an incredible practice in the time I've known her. I've seen her practice grow and flourish even more. You specialize in helping men and women with stress hormones,
hmm
and you do one-on-one work. You have a number of programs.
hmm
What else?
Oh, I have a podcast. I'm really passionate about teaching. I put a lot of information out on social
Yeah,
media, and I love teaching men and women how to, navigate what's going on in their bodies because so many people don't feel good, and they go to their doctor, and their doctor's like, "Oh, your labs look normal. You must just be stressed." And like nobody wants to hear when you don't feel good. You don't want to hear that you're just stressed. And
yeah,
probably the stress is the problem, but I think Western medicine has kind of failed a lot of people when they have any sort of symptom that's underlying root causes stress. And so I kind of specialize in helping people figure that out and get back to feeling like themselves.
yeah, yeah. And you have an amazing podcast. You also helped me out with my health.
Yeah.
Last year, I was really struggling, and I couldn't figure out why I was just getting sick so much and just didn't feel great. And yeah, we uncovered something that wouldn't have uncovered in a traditional doctor.
Hang
We
on
have
one
kiddos.
second, guys. I
Yeah.
hit my kid. What's going on? Your foot's bleeding. Oh no. Okay.
Uh-oh.
There was some like sharp plastic
Oh,
and
okay.
it stabbed my foot.
Okay. You know what? Hadley's downstairs. Can you go ask her to help you out? I'll be down in a few minutes. Okay. Sorry, guys. Luckily, my
It's
kids are old enough now where they can.
they can figure it out, right? Yeah. Can you hear me? Oh, I think I lost you. Oh, there you are. Yeah.
And interruptions and things and snow
There's
days and
always
all the things.
stuff going on. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was really cool to be in that process with you and have like this extra level of care or this different lens that I wouldn't have gotten had I gone to a traditional
Yeah.
doctor.
Yeah.
And I feel great now.
I'm so glad I helped you.
Yeah, I feel amazing. I was just saying to my husband yesterday, I'm like, I feel better physically than I felt since before I was pregnant with my daughter, who's now 4.
Ooh,
So yeah,
that's the best.
it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I know that you had your own journey with
Mhm.
with I think adrenal fatigue and getting your health on track.
Yeah.
So did that catalyze you into this profession at all, or what were the moments or the things that
It
led you here to this
totally did.
profession?
So in my early 20s, I went from like running marathons and being, I was like a great student, doing all the things and really happy and feeling good to I couldn't get out of bed. I gained like 30 pounds. I was exhausted and I was crying all the time.
Mm.
And, I went to my Western medicine doc and they were like, "Oh, here's some medication, here's some Wellbutrin. I think you're just depressed." And I left the visit being like, "I don't know, it seems like there's something else going on." And I, at the time, was in therapy, and my therapist had just met with this naturopathic doctor and said, "Hey, I think you should go see. It's a different type of doctor. They're going to spend a little more time with you." And he ran a whole bunch of tests and determined that my adrenals were really under functioning, and I was low in B12 and iron. And so I had a lot of things that were going on. I had been a vegan, and I had kind of run my body into the ground over exercising. So I'd stressed my body out a lot physically in my 20s. And, I was in that time just post college and a lot of things, in your early 20s that can be tough.
Hmm.
But he put me on a protocol, and within maybe 6 weeks, I felt almost back to myself. And I was like,
Mm.
wow, this is really amazing. So at that point, um, I ended up quitting the job I was in and was like, I really would like to, see what this is about. And I had lunch with a naturopathic doctor who treated me. And he was like, "No, don't do this." That's what he said. He was like,
Mm.
He's like, it's a really tough profession. He's like, it's going to be an uphill battle. You're going to have to run your own business. You know, you're not going to have a job handed to you. And I was like, that kind of sounds like fun. I was like, I come from an entrepreneurial family. I might like to run my own business. And so I didn't listen to him. And I ended up going back to, well, actually, no, wait, there's another part of the story.
Hmm.
I didn't listen to him. I ended up quitting my job that I was in at the time. And I moved to DC and I got a job with a recruiting company. I was just like, I need a change. And this was actually maybe before I had lunch with him. And I was interviewing people all day long. And I loved it. I love talking to people. I love asking questions like you do, right?
Yeah.
It's like I love human connection. And I was bringing these resumes to my boss, being like, "Oh, listen to this patient or this not patient, listen to this person. You know, she had to quit this job because she had lupus and she had all these health issues." And my boss eventually sat me down and was like, "I don't think this is the right profession for you." And I said, "Why?" She goes, "Well, you care so much about what these people's health problems are." She's like, "I just want to know, can they do the job or not? And what do they do in their last job?" And she's like, "You keep telling me like sob stories about their health and this and that." And she's like, "I think you might maybe want to go back to
Wow.
med school." So I'm really grateful for her because she was very good at her job in recruiting, and she was like, "This is not right for you."
That's
So at
amazing.
that point, I went and had lunch with a naturopathic doctor, and then from there, I was like, "All right, I think I'm going to do this." And yeah, and so I love helping people figure out, what's really going on and get them back to feeling like themselves. And granted, sometimes we do use a medication or use something else, and you can use a combination of all those things. But I think my job really is to like get to the root cause of
Yeah.
things, and I love it.
Yeah. Um, I read something that you said about helping the body be able to like heal itself or
Mhm.
something like that. You're getting in touch with the wisdom of your body so that it can do what it's meant to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes we lose touch of that. And I know in a lot of the work you do, people get so disconnected from their physical body
Hmm.
and almost as a protective mechanism, be like, nope, I'm not going to feel that right now. That doesn't feel good. I'm going to step away from
Hmm.
that. But sometimes our bodies are giving us clues about what's right and what's not right.
Yeah.
And so when you start to learn that, hey, your body, when you get a headache, maybe it doesn't mean anything seriously wrong. It might just mean you need to drink water. That's a common one people know. Or like when you eat a food and you get heartburn, your body might be trying to tell you it doesn't like that
Yeah.
food. Not that you need to go take a heartburn medication. It might be just giving you information. So it's just all about learning to look at the symptoms like
Yeah.
information.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We got some
I
questions
know.
coming in hot already.
Yeah.
So some people were asking about insurance and how you make an appointment with
Sure.
you.
So, probably the best thing to do if you're interested in an appointment is call my office and set up a free consult, just so we can make sure that I'm the right fit for you. And I don't take insurance. We take HSAs and flexible spending accounts. And yeah, so we can talk about what your needs are. And if you're looking for someone who does what I do, who takes insurance, I can help point you in the right direction because there are naturopathic doctors who take insurance. I'm not allowed to in Maryland. But there are, depending on where you are, I can help find you someone that can help you.
Hmm. Yeah. And then there was a question about someone was saying they feel very emotional, and are there any techniques that you would use for that?
You mean in naturopathic techniques? Is that what we're asking? Like,
I I
yeah,
I imagine. I think we probably would want more information about that,
yeah,
but
more information. I'm happy to chat with you more. I mean, I use a lot of remedies that can help get your emotions more in balance, and that can be again, we'd want to figure out why. Is it a hormone imbalance? Is it it could be like a gut thing. If your gut flora is not right, that can affect your neurotransmitters. And there's lots of testing we can do as well. Also, I'm launching a new membership program that it launches.
Mhm.
Well, it's launching now. That's going to teach you if you're feeling like you have hormonal imbalance. It's called Hormone Health Academy. So if you're interested in that, you can go follow me on Instagram. I've got information about that there. So I'm
Yeah.
excited about that. It'll be cool.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Um, so you got on your path, you went back to school and you became a
Mhm.
naturopathic doctor. And then what was that process like for you with starting your business?
So it was funny when I was starting my business, I found out I was pregnant, like maybe 2 weeks into being like, I'm going to launch my business. So those first couple of years, I was moving kind of slowly. I
Yeah.
just had a baby and I was newly married, and but I was really excited to launch a business. I was, one of my majors in undergrad. I was a business major, so I love business. I love growing things. I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so that was kind of exciting to me. We didn't get a lot of, I think in a lot of professions, especially like law school, med school, you don't get a lot of business training, right?
Yeah.
They teach you how to do your trade, but then they don't really teach you how to market. And when I was first in practice, like social media was around, but it was very different than the landscape now. So a lot of things have changed in terms of marketing. And I think, there's obviously the nuts and bolts of running a business, but marketing is really important. Like you got to make sure you're marketing so you can get people coming in the door and finding out, making sure they know about you. But
Yeah.
it's such a cool, I love the fact that today, like, you can market through these amazing resources. You can reach so
Yeah.
many other people. And I love it for the business, but also I really want to help as many people as I can. So it's great that I can give all this information out on a platform that
Yeah.
people can readily access, which is really cool.
Yeah, totally. So did that come naturally to you, like marketing and building the business because you did have that kind of
Some of
familial
it
experience?
Some of it did. I think the familial experience was more like the nuts and bolts of running a business. Like I
Mhm.
think when I was a kid, like we would run lemonade stands, and so I understood like, okay, you said like I understood like the actual like back end of a business. Some of it came naturally, but I was in a lot of different masterminds in my first few years of practice, like
Mm.
learning, like, and that was
Mhm.
always changing, but learning, hey, how do you get the word out? And particularly, how do you speak to your particular, like we call it like an A grade client? Hang on, update. Is the foot better?
Yeah.
The foot is all better.
Great.
Fantastic.
Yay.
Go
Good
back
job,
to playing.
girls.
Good job. Love it. My kids probably will be doctors too. They love like taking care of each other. So
Really? Oh,
yeah, so,
they're so cute.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that I think I learned a lot, and I actively sought help in that capacity because I think again there's so many different things, and this is the tricky thing when you're in like a service-based industry, whether you're a therapist or a lawyer, or you spend so much
Mm.
time in the actual like weeds of the business, right? Like was spending a lot of time seeing patients, and sometimes like it's a whole other thing. You're like, oh, I got to grow the business, I got to run the business. So there's kind of two aspects, two hats you have to
Hmm.
wear if you're like working in your business and working on your business.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
early on, I worked a lot in the business, and that was great. And I was kind of, like honing my craft and making sure I was good at what I did. But I think once I was like, okay, I'm really good at what I do. I know I'm very good. I help my patients all get better. Like, you know, I get tons of great referrals, and most of my business initially was all word of
Hmm.
mouth. I would treat someone, they would get better, and they would refer their entire family and friends to me, which was
Yeah.
fantastic. But yeah,
Yeah.
but then at a certain point, I was like, okay, I think I need a little bit of help to, figure out how to market and how to reach more people.
Yeah. Yeah. So you did join some mastermind groups early
Hmm.
on that helped to support
Yeah.
you. And one of the things that I know to be true about you, based on my experience of you, is that you are very consistent
Yeah.
with what you do. You decide you're doing something and you consistently show up for
Yes.
it. So is that a muscle you built along the way, or is that something that came naturally to you?
I think I've always been like that. I think
Hmm.
if you were to ask my parents like a trait about me, they would be like, Erin has she's very disciplined. She'll decide to do
Yeah.
something and she'll be like, I'm gonna do this. Like if it's like, hey, I'm gonna drink a gallon of water every day, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do that every day.
Hmm.
And I think and obviously there are weeks and times where I'm not 100% consistent, but I think
Hmm.
consistency is definitely something that was kind of a natural thing that just it's an innate part of me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I would say that consistently, I think showing up wherever you're doing your marketing, if you're running a business, it's consistency that makes it
Hmm.
work.
Yeah.
Even if you don't think anyone is watching or listening or paying attention, like someone is. And even
Yeah.
I think one of the things I learned, like I remember the first time I ever did like a live thing. I was running an in-person workshop in my office, and this was pretty early on, and a few people couldn't come, and they asked if I could, video it. And I think I just played around with Facebook, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a Facebook Live. This was
Hmm.
even when they first introduced that, and I did the workshop and did the Facebook Live, and it like the video went viral, like everyone saw it.
Oh, wow.
And I had people reach out to me being like, hey, or I had people coming in saying, one of my friends watched a video. The friend didn't show up, but the friend told, like said, hey, like you should go see this doctor. She talked about this. So it wasn't even
Wow.
the person that watched my thing that came in. It was like someone was like, oh my gosh, I watched this video and told someone else about it. So
Yeah,
you just never know like
that's cool.
who's listening or who's watching, or I don't know.
Totally. So when you are showing up for the thing over and over again, and we don't always see a result right away. Often we don't. Is there anything that helps you stick with it? And then on the flip side of it, how do you know when to cut bait if something
Is it?
like, how do you know if ultimately it's just not
Yeah.
working for you or it's
Yeah.
not working for you
Well, I mean,
anymore?
I think for me, in this line of work, I love talking about what I'm passionate about. I love
Mhm.
teaching. I love that. And hang on a second, someone just asked if that video is still
Yeah.
available. That video might still be available, but it was about like kids. It's not even something I really do anymore. It was like kids natural remedies. So if you want to, the person who's asking that question, if you want to, there's tons of videos and information on my Facebook and on my Instagram, which is at
Mhm.
Dr. Kinney, if you want to go and watch some old videos. Um, so back to that question. Wait, what was that question? Where was I going with that?
So I was wondering when it seems like maybe nothing is
Yeah,
happening or it's not working or not getting a result, how do you stick with it? And then when do you decide, okay, this doesn't actually seem to be working for me. I'm going
yeah.
to cut bait as opposed to keeping showing up for the thing.
So I think for me, like I just really like doing this, so I keep doing
Hmm.
it because I'm
Hmm.
passionate about it. I'm like somebody's listening, and I've been lucky that I've gotten, even if it's just one person that's like, "Hey, I watched your video and I liked it." I'm like, "All right,
Hmm.
somebody out there is getting value from this, so I'm going to keep doing it." And you know, one of the things about me is I really care about what other people think. So when someone is like, "I love that," I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to keep doing it." I think in terms of like cutting, that's a good question. I don't know that I've had a that I have like a formula for that. I think at this
Hmm.
point, obviously with social media, you look at what your views are and who's, and I now kind of look at my social media marketing as I'm going to try this, and if it seems like it gets a lot of views or it seems, but I think the tricky thing is with this stuff, sometimes you don't get a direct result.
Yeah.
Like I will get patients or someone that will call and will want to book an appointment, and they'll tell me, I've been following you for 2 years,
Hmm.
getting to know you, like you, and trust you, and now I'm ready to make an appointment.
Hmm.
So I think honestly, if you're really passionate and you know you're good at what you're doing, like keep doing it, because somebody out there might be your perfect person, but they're not quite ready for you yet. But you need to
Yeah.
keep, because the thing I learned early on about marketing was that the point of informational based marketing, which is kind of, what we all do on
Hmm.
social media, is we talk about what we're good at. We put out information, and it's allowing people to get to know you, get to trust you. They're like, oh, hey, this person gives out good information. And then to
Hmm.
like you and to know, hey, this is going to be a good person for me to work with.
Hmm.
But it might take them a little
Yeah.
while. Some people might look at you and be like, oh, like immediately, like that's the person I want to work with. Some people might want to listen to you for a while, or might want to
Yeah.
make sure that they might like the consistency. They might want to be like, hey, this person really shows up. They clearly, know what they're doing there. So
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think, I guess, I don't know about the cut your losses, because I don't know if I've done that I once, in 2019, my sisters and I bought a yoga mat company as kind of like a
Mm.
side project.
Hmm.
And we worked on that project. We were like, we bought the business and we were going to sell yoga mats as like it was like our stepchild, all of our stepchild. And we did it for about 2 years. And not that the business wasn't successful, but none of us were passionate
Yeah.
about it. Like it was like, we'd kind of
Yeah.
done it, like, oh, we could make some extra money. But like none of us were really into it. It was a great company. It was super cool, but it was not what we wanted to spend our time doing. So I
Yeah.
don't know. This kind of stuff lights me up. Like I love, so I think if what
Mhm.
you're doing is lighting you up, you're on
Yeah.
the right path. Keep doing
That's
it.
that's what I'm hearing from this is that to do what you love and to share what you love and then just keep
Yeah,
doing it because it's what you love doing.
exactly.
Yeah. What are two supplements you like?
Oh, I like a lot of supplements. If we're going for like two basic supplements, I would say a fish oil would be a good thing to take. Carlson's fish oil is a really good brand. Um, I also like vitamin D. I'm a big fan of vitamin D. If you haven't, but make sure you get your levels checked. It's really important to get your levels checked to know how much you should take. And there's a lot of vitamin D supplements out there.
Hmm.
That's kind of that could be a long answer. So again, you can
Yeah.
go watch some of my other videos. I might have some stuff on there too.
Cool. Yeah. Um, so in terms of you started this business, it grew pretty easily with referrals, with you showing up, doing what you love, having great results. Was there anything that you then did to kind of go to the next level?
I think honestly the podcast really took me to a different level, like because
Hmm.
that was a different medium for me to put out information. I think even if someone wasn't on social media, they could listen. And again, it was a great way. I mostly have guests on my show that are in this somewhat in this field, and it was a great like cross promotional way to get my name out there to different groups and lists, and to just give more information out. And I think that really grew the practice quite a bit. I started that in 2021, I believe it was the when I first started the podcast. But we grew a lot during the pandemic, and I think that was just kind of situational. I specialized in stressed out men and women with, hormonal imbalances, and pretty much everyone during that year was really struggling, and everyone was at home and worried about their health. So that was kind of a most naturopathic doctors have been just incredibly busy for the past few years because everyone's
Yeah.
been like, hey, I want to take a deeper dive and look at my health because health's been kind of on the forefront of all of our minds after the
Yeah.
pandemic. So
Yeah.
that was kind of like a lucky. I don't want to say lucky because I'm not sure that I love the pandemic, but it was kind of a good time in terms of business growth.
Yeah. Well, I think it pointed us in some new positive directions
Yeah,
in
definitely.
different areas of our lives. So
Yeah,
that's probably one of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what's so interesting is that during 2020, I had just gotten separated, and so I was living on my own, single parenting, growing business. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and I was not putting into practice all the things that I teach. I was working when I didn't have my kids. I was working super long hours. I was not taking any breaks. I was not eating properly, and I ended up like crashing again. And I
Mm,
came to you, like, I think, right, kind of toward the tail end of my. I put my adrenals into another
yeah.
tailspin, and but so it's been. And I've loved working with you because I think that really helped me get clear. And we can talk about that more, but get clear on some other things about how I wanted to feel and I was so stressed out during 2020, 2021. Those years were really, really tough. And,
Yeah.
and I loved what was happening, and I wanted it, but I was not excited. I just didn't feel good because
Hmm.
I was burnt out.
Yeah.
Um, but what's so interesting is I feel like after working with you, my life, like the actual day to day of my life hasn't really changed that much. I still have a growing business. I still have two kids. But I feel so good now.
Wow.
Like my life feels so much better.
That's
And we talk a lot about
amazing.
spaciousness and like my life
Yeah.
has so much space now, which is fantastic.
That's really interesting. Um, so, how do you think your commitment to your personal growth has, so you're saying that it's changed really mostly the way you feel in your life.
Mostly the way I feel
Hmm.
in my life. Yeah, I mean, my life has,
Hmm.
like, I've had some amazing things happen in the past few years, but I think the biggest difference is I feel really good. I feel joy. I'm able to feel joy easily. I'm excited about stuff, and
Huh.
I don't dread many things, like, even like mundane things. Like, things just feel
Hmm.
easier.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, I've also seen you really call in more support and more relationships and actually transform relationships.
Yeah.
Um, can you talk a little bit about
Yeah.
that?
Well, I think it's funny. Like, I think, that old thing, like those who can't do, teach or whatever. Like the main message on my podcast is, hey, like make sure you're getting support in whatever, whether it's an
Hmm.
acupuncturist or a naturopathic doctor. If you're dealing with a health thing, make sure you have the proper support to help you along the way. And yeah, and I think for a long time, I did not have any support. I was
Hmm.
like, nope, I got this. I'm doing this on my own. I'm independent. I can do it all.
Yeah.
But I think getting the regular, consistent, again, coming back to that consistent support
Hmm.
has been life changing because it's allowed me to be like, oh, okay, you know what? I don't have to do all this on my own. And from that, I've been able to now ask for help more, and my relationships have changed quite a bit. My personal,
Hmm.
so I don't feel like I'm doing it all on my own anymore.
Yeah.
And yeah, which has been a really big deal.
Hmm. And you have a great relationship
I do. Yeah, I
romantically.
have a great relationship, and that's been fantastic. And that's been really nice after going through, if anyone's watching who's gone through a divorce, it's tough. I mean,
Hmm.
it can be, it's
Yeah.
hard, and there's a lot of heartbreak, and there's so many emotions that go along with that, and guilt and doubt, doubting yourself or all the things. And yeah, and I went through a couple of, one not so great relationship, one good relationship that wasn't quite right, and now I'm in a relationship that is
Mhm.
fantastic, and it feels exactly how I want it to feel, which is great.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So fun.
Um, what was I going to ask you? Oh, yes. So, what are some of the practices that you do yourself regularly, like in any part of your life that really support you in your wellness?
Yeah. So I think the one thing that I wasn't doing during those 2 years, it's funny because I tell everyone to do it, was to make sure you're taking a break during your workday. Like,
Mm,
because, usually most of us, we get up, we get going, we get out the door, we go, and we just are on all day long until it's time to
mhm,
come home, and then we crash and relax and whatever. And I'm very good at that. I can get up and go all day long. But I think if you don't do that, if you don't give your body breaks in the middle of the day, your nervous system will adapt to that and it will say, oh, you want me to be on all the time. And then
mhm,
over time, it becomes harder and harder to access that relaxed, calm state.
mhm,
And so one of the things that I do is I absolutely leave the office every day for usually an hour at this point, but it used to be just 10 minutes. I would go for a walk outside and I like to lie down, like to just lay
mm,
flat. Sometimes I read, sometimes I'll meditate, sometimes I just listen to music, but just to calm the physical body
mhm,
down. And I call it getting horizontal. And I tell my patients to do this, go get horizontal for 10 minutes in the middle of the
mhm.
day. Because we all do this at night. But again, and especially if you have trouble sleeping, this can be a really like game changing practice. And everyone can find 10 minutes to
Mhm.
lay down. It's
Yeah.
like not a huge, um, and I journal quite a bit. I really like a little 5 to 10 minute gratitude journal.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll journal longer, but that and like a break during the day are probably the consistent things that I do. I like to go to yoga and those things, but
Mhm.
you know, like life will happen and there'll be a snow day and maybe I can't go to a yoga class, but those other things I can do no matter what happens, right? I can always take the
Yeah.
time to go lay down. I can take the 5 to 10 minutes to do a quick journal. And I think those practices have been easy to keep up no matter what life throws at me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's interesting when you say you're the type of person that can just like go.
Hmm.
And it's interesting to look at how the things that inherently are gifts can also become the thing that really actually blocks
Yeah.
us. I mean, they can become our defenses.
Yes.
And then if we're not
Yeah.
conscious in integrating and transforming as it serves us,
Yes.
they can actually block us. And that's something that I've really seen you beautifully work with and move through,
Yeah.
is that, like you said, like cultivating the spaciousness and feeling okay and safe to have the spaciousness.
Yeah. And
Can
like
you speak to that?
transition time, I think we
Hmm.
talked a lot about like I have a skill where someone could wake me up like dead
Hmm.
asleep, give me like 2 minutes and put me on a stage and I could like be like, all right, I'm talking about this. Like I don't need much I don't
Yeah.
need it. Like I'm able to do it, but life feels so much better when I have transition time. And I think for a long time I would overschedule and I still have to watch this. I'll be like, all right, well, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna drop the kids off and I'm gonna have 2 minutes to make it to yoga and I'm gonna go to yoga and I have 2 minutes to change and I'm gonna go to work and I would like leaving myself no transition time. And
Hmm.
I can, but my body has a harder time relaxing if I don't give it that time. So having that transition time or a little bit of spaciousness in my day has really changed. That's changed how I felt a lot. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of, even though I know I can do things without transition, it stresses me out to be like, oh, I got to make sure I have enough time to do this and this. And, and it kind of kept me in that constantly thinking future, like that
Yeah.
anxiety place versus, yeah. Anyway, so that's been a big
Yeah.
shift, and life feels a lot better when there's a little bit more time in between things.
Yeah. Yeah. So knowing that, go, go, I can do it, I can get up and I'm just like shot out of a cannon and I'm ready to go, that actually really worked for you to
Mhm.
get to a certain place.
Totally.
How did you decide or justify or make and then train yourself to make that transition to cultivate the spaciousness?
I mean, I think I got to a point where I really didn't feel good. I like did not. It was like I got to a point where I was like, okay, this something has to change. Like I know
Hmm.
I'm getting all the things done, I'm seeing success, and all that is amazing. But if you don't feel good about success, like what's the like? usually we want things because it makes us feel good. And I'm like, okay, I've accomplished all these things. I'm very good at accomplishing things. You could give me a task and I'll do all the things. I'll get them all done. But like, if you don't feel good while doing it, what's the point? So I think I got to the point, I like hit a wall. And I
Yeah.
think it was probably right when I was starting to work with you. I was like, I would like to feel good in these things that I'm
Yeah.
accomplishing. And you asked like how, I mean, I think it came down to like sometimes it was literally just like I had to look at my schedule and be like, okay, you know what? I have to say no to this. I can't fit this into this day. I need some time to chill out. And I changed my clinic hour, I changed my patient hours. And for the first probably 6 months doing that, I felt very weird. I was like, I feel like I'm not doing
Yeah.
anything. Why? Like I have like 2 hours with nothing to do. This feels so weird. I think I would tell you, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. This feels weird. I don't think I like it. What is happening? And this is something I hear from my patients a lot when they start to feel better. They're like, wait, this feels weird. I've been used to feeling bad for so long. So it's like your nervous system has to, and your brain, you have to get used to feeling good. Because if you've been used to feeling bad so long, it feels weird
Yeah.
sometimes to feel good. I mean, it feels good, but you like are almost like waiting, okay, when am I going to feel bad again? Like, when am I going to be like worried or anxious again?
Totally. Totally. I used to say like it's almost like I would like try and like when I got away from it, like started to train my body out of the thing, like let's just take scarcity for example. Um, I would be like, oh wait, I haven't like felt that like in my body, that like kind of like sinking whatever feeling I would get. And then
Mhm.
I'd be like, wait, let me see it. Can I touch that
Can I
still? It's almost
access it?
like, wait, what does that feel? Oh yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
no, I don't, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, yeah. But it's
That's
almost like I think you described this to me. It's almost like you're in one way of operating, and it's like on the other side of a fence, there's another way, and it's like for a point of time, you're straddling the two places, and you're like, okay, well, maybe I'm over here. Nope, but I want to be over here, and like, and that's normal. And I see
yeah.
that like in physical healing too. Sometimes, like I had a patient today that was struggling with a lot of different issues, and we started working together maybe 2 months ago, and for the first 6 weeks she was feeling fantastic. She's like, I feel great. And then she got COVID last month, and so now she's kind of like she doesn't feel the way she did when she first came in, but she's like dipped down a little bit, and she's like, oh man, I'm back here. And I'm like, it's okay, like you now have the reference to come
Hmm.
back to the good place. And I'm like, it's okay for the body and the brain to kind of revisit the old
Totally.
place as you continue to move away
Yeah.
from it.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the
The
process with whatever you're
process.
doing. Yeah, it's just a
Totally.
process. You're gonna
Yeah.
go 2 steps forward and maybe have a step back, and maybe 3 steps forward and a little step back, and
Yeah.
none of this is necessarily linear. And this could be applied to your business too. Like, I've had a lot of things go right. I've also tried a lot of things that have totally flopped and failed. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna launch this program, and nope, didn't nobody wanted to do it. Didn't work. All right, we're gonna we're gonna not do that.
Totally.
And
Yeah. Well, I like that you said in your business about like, oh, just almost treat it like an experiment, like that way of like holding it
yeah,
lightly. Like, yes, you really care about
yeah,
it, but you're also holding it with lightness. Like it's not the end of the world. I'm just trying something.
yeah,
And I think that energy is so helpful for whatever you're doing and whatever process you're in. Because like we're always going to be in a process. We're always going to be like there's always going to be another thing that we're wanting to grow to or evolve to. And if we can learn to hold it lightly and
yeah,
enjoy the ride, then
yeah,
yeah, we're going to feel a lot better.
yeah. And then it doesn't. And I think it's particularly with social media marketing, because I know I hear from colleagues are like, oh, I just don't want to do that. Like, but if you don't put so much pressure on it, if you're like, all
Mm.
right, nobody watched that reel, not a big deal. I'll just
Yeah.
try a different tactic. Like,
Yeah.
because if you make oh my God, nobody watched the reel and you freak out about it, like, then you're not going to want
No,
to do it again.
no,
Right.
not
But if
not at
you're like,
all.
oh, I guess nobody liked that one, but then the other one I did people love. So like, let's try that. Like,
Yeah,
um,
totally. Yeah.
but again, I think going back, as long as you stay in, so one of the mentors I had was like, stay in your magic, like stay in like the thing
Mm,
that you love to do. Like if it's
totally.
lighting you up and you're in your magic, like it's gonna light other people up.
Yeah.
That's one of the feedback I get a lot when I host a workshop or when I speak somewhere. People will be like, wow, you are so passionate about this. I can hear it in your
Hmm.
voice. And like, if anyone's ever watched a speaker and like the speaker is like, they're like, you're gonna fall asleep. It's boring.
Yeah.
But no
Yeah.
matter what the subject is, if the speaker is like super passionate and they make it interesting, you're going to be like, oh, that's an interesting talk. So, like, if your magic is shining through you and whatever you're
Hmm.
doing, people are going to be attracted to
Totally.
it.
I love that. Stay in your magic.
Yeah.
We're getting lots of questions about sleep and caffeine and
Oh,
sleep
got it.
supplements. Do you
Okay.
want to address?
Um, so sleep honestly if you want to sleep well, it starts with what you do in the morning.
Mm.
Because, there's tons of supplements you can take to fall asleep, and they might help you fall asleep, but most people I find fall asleep but don't stay asleep well. They'll wake up, and that comes often down to like a circadian rhythm thing. So in the morning, make sure you're getting morning sunlight without sunglasses. Like you want the light to hit, because you want your brain to know that's when it's time to be awake. So like circadian rhythm things are really important. So getting morning sunlight, and then in the evening, not being on your screens too late. Like trying to like wind blue light down. If you wear those blue light blockers, those are great. And you want the stress level to start to go down in the evening. So watching stressful, scary TV before bed, not the best choice. You may still fall asleep, but you might find you're waking up at like 2 in the morning. So that's I like to help to work with people with their circadian rhythm practices. And supplement wise, I am kind of a big fan of melatonin. Even if it doesn't make you fall asleep, it will help with that circadian rhythm reset. We're supposed to have really high melatonin in the evening, and that will help your cortisol levels go down. Um, a lot of people like CBD. Honestly, like, I don't know where you're watching, but if THC is legal in your state, that can be a really great thing if it's something you're interested in for sleep. In particular, if there's, it's so amazing how they can like isolate the different like terpenes and cannabinoids and things that are very specific for sleep. So that can be an option for some people. It's not always an option for everyone. And then I really like GABA, the neurotransmitter GABA, which is like a calming neurotransmitter. And you can take that in conjunction with L-theanine or passiflower. Like, so there's so many different options out there. But I think at the root of it, if you're not sleeping well, you need to look at like what your lifestyle habits are, because that'll have the biggest impact on your sleep. The other thing is overtraining, like over physically working out can really impact your sleep and make you wake up a lot. So make sure you're not overdoing it. A really good way to know if you're overdoing it is if you wear a heart rate tracker, whether an Apple Watch or something, is figure out what your resting heart rate is. And let's say your resting heart rate is 60. Let's say that's my resting heart rate. Let's say I ran 7 miles today. Tomorrow, if my resting heart rate is like 75, I overdid it. That 7 miles was overtraining for me. So if your resting heart rate is higher the day after like a workout or really intense physical activity, that can tell you that like it's too much for your system.
Interesting.
You can kind of use.
Okay. I never thought about that
Yeah.
before. That's cool.
And then
Yeah, go ahead.
Asking about
Oh
caffeine.
yeah, caffeine.
Caffeine is very dependent on how you metabolize it. So, if you're really sensitive to caffeine, I would say like if you can't drink caffeine in the afternoon or it keeps you up, you probably don't want to have it at all because it might be staying in your system. Some people drink caffeine and can go to sleep. For them, that's not going to be an issue. But if you're really tired and you have to have the caffeine to stay awake, the caffeine is probably not for you. If you're drinking caffeine and you could take it or leave it energy-wise, drink the caffeine. But if you're like, I can't function without caffeine, caffeine is like taking out a line of credit. So let's say that energy is your currency. When you sleep at night, you're going to earn that currency. If you're sleep deprived and you're tired, you don't have enough currency for your energy. If you drink caffeine, it's like spending money on a credit card. So it's like you don't actually have that currency there, but your body is like a bank. It'll allow you to do it. But if you keep doing that, eventually the bank will be like, nope, we're not giving you any more lines of credit. We're going to cut that off. And so caffeine can be detrimental if you're super, super fatigued.
Yeah. What's how long before you want to go to sleep do you recommend not doing screen time?
If you can do like 2 hours before would be helpful. I say that I'm not doing that. I'm trying really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, even if an hour, and if you are going to do it in the evening, wear some sort of blue light blocking thing. And a lot of phones will do that. They'll kind of go into like the orangish mode, or your computer can do that. So if you have to do it, like make sure you're doing that. But your body and your melatonin production is much better if you're not on screens at all, like for a couple hours before sleep.
And is melatonin something that you can do every night, or is it once in a while?
Can do melatonin every night. There's a lot of conflicting stuff out there. But again, and especially if you are, like, let's say you're at a computer all day. So your pineal gland is what produces melatonin. And when we look at a blue light or any screen, it's going to block the pineal gland's production of melatonin. So in your melatonin production, it will start in the morning and it kind of peaks at night. So during the day, you are producing some melatonin, but we get to like the peak levels right before bed. So if you are on screens all day, it's going to lower those levels. So in today's world, most of us are on screens. So I think it's really helpful to take a little bit of melatonin. Again, even if it's not helping with your sleep. Melatonin also has amazing antioxidant properties. So in a lot of like naturopathic cancer protocols, they put people on very high doses of melatonin to help, like if they're also getting radiation or other types of chemotherapy where we lose antioxidant properties, they'll put you on a high dose of melatonin to help repair the cells. So
Wow.
it's very restorative. So it's a great supplement to take.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is that strictly for adults, or can kids take it as well?
I like it for kids as well. I mean, our kids are on screens. I'm like, my kids take melatonin almost every night. And I would say the only thing you want to run into is with kids, and I did this a little bit to my kids. I'm trying to undo it. Is you don't want your child to think that they have to take something to fall asleep.
Yeah.
And I kind of so that and that as an adult too. Like melatonin is not addictive. Like you could stop taking it any time, but it's like that mental. You think that you need it to fall asleep.
Yeah.
So that's where taking a supplement before bed can be a little tricky. Again, most of these natural things I've mentioned, you don't actually become physically dependent on them, but you might become a little bit psychologically dependent on. So if you do the other things I talked about, like start with the circadian rhythm, get outside, get good exercise, move your body, get off of screens, that's not going to become something you're psychologically dependent on.
Yeah, cool. Someone asked, do you have time for just a couple more
Yeah,
questions?
sure. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Someone asked about an EMF blocker on your phone.
Yes, those are really great to get. I'm trying to think of the
I want to
brand.
get that for my son.
Yeah, there are a bunch of different brands out there. I would actually say go follow Dave Asprey. He always has the best EMF block. He'll like search out the best EMF blocking companies. There is definitely one. I can't remember if they have a phone one. So there's EMF blocking, and then there's also things that will put out good like frequencies. So EMF is a certain type of frequency that affects our cell. So they're all electromagnetic frequencies, but there are other frequencies that can help heal your cells. So you can block the bad EMFs, but then you can also like radiate into your life good EMFs. There's a company called Somavedic. I have one of those in my house. It's like this green glowing orb, and it puts out basically things that get you into heart coherence. So it's frequencies that help. Yeah, it's really cool.
I need to
So
get
it's
that.
Somavedic. Yeah, I can DM you the link. It's
Yeah.
Somavedic, and you can get different devices that will, put out that frequency at different amounts of space in your house. But there's a lot of companies that will do that, that will kind of put out a different frequency.
Wait, but then it doesn't block the connectivity?
No, so that doesn't block. Because if you get, there are some for your phone that will block kind of the bad EMFs, but if you go into like a totally EMF free place, your phone won't work, like, because it blocks everything. So
Right.
yeah, so these again, it's like it's putting out a frequency that will kind of like, again, the magnetic frequencies from your phone will come, and that can kind of make the cells upset, but you can put out a different frequency that kind of like raises the vibration. So it's like
Interesting.
it's like if you're at a party, like, and there's someone who has a negative vibe, like, you're not gonna like remove them from the party, but you would just go find the people that have all the positive vibes, right?
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah. Oh, I love that analogy. Yeah, totally.
yeah. So
Yeah.
like you would maybe move closer to the positive vibe
Change your
people,
focus.
or, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, change your focus. So that's kind of what those things do. It's like it just brings more good coherent vibes to your
That's
cells.
so cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
What are you excited about right now?
I'm really excited about this. I've never really done a membership program, and so I'm really excited about offering, and some, like, I work with a lot of people one-on-one, and I love that. I don't take insurance, so for some people that cost is is prohibiting them from working with someone. But like in these I could reach so many more people. So I'm really excited about giving out more information, and I'm going to talk about how to navigate whatever you have going on with your hormones. So how to get the right tests run from your conventional doc, and if you're trying to work within the insurance system, how to do that and still get the kind of care that you need.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm so excited for your membership.
Yeah, I'm excited. What else am I excited about? I don't know. I'm excited about all things in life. Like lately, I've been excited about little things, like just everyday life, which feels really good.
Yeah, it does. So cool.
I just got Indian food for dinner, so I'm excited to go eat that.
Ooh, that sounds amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been so cool to just see you on your journey and how committed you are and how much you show up and
Yeah.
just to see your beautiful life unfold.
Well, it's been amazing. I think we talked about this when we were chatting before about this. Like having, I think, I'd always been good at like visioning where I wanted to go and obviously doing the things. Like I've always been a
Yeah.
good doer. I've
Yeah.
not, with the thing that I struggled with was like tapping into how I've been feeling. And I think one of the things you've really helped me with is like how to like, okay, let's create some space where you can actually like feel how you're feeling now and then think about how you want the things you're doing to make you feel.
Mhm.
And so I think like cultivating that has been really, I think that's probably why I feel so good lately is because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I really want to feel that way. How do we get there? How do I feel
Yeah.
that way?
That's
Instead
amazing.
of, because again, like the doing, I think anyone can make themselves do something, right? You can always be like, all right, I'm going to do the task. Maybe not, maybe that's something I've been good at. Is I can always make
Harder for
myself,
some than others,
yeah,
but yeah,
I can
yeah.
do things. But again, the feeling part, and that the doing was always a protective mechanism for me to not feel the things I didn't want to feel. I'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I don't want to feel that. Let
Yeah.
me go do.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so having you to support me in, having that space to get in touch with my emotions and then decide, hey, how do you want to feel?
Yeah. That's so cool.
Which has been
I love
great.
it.
Yeah.
You're amazing. Where can people find you? Where can people learn about your membership? Whatever else they might want to know.
So you guys are here on Instagram. You can go follow me at Dr. Kinney, and there's tons of old videos. And then you can go click on my link tree, and there's all the links to the podcast. And you can go to my website. And I'm talking about the membership. If you just watch my stories, I'll have all the links in there to join there.
That's amazing.
So yeah. If you go to my
Yay.
website, you can also get on my newsletter, which we send out every week. And yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, you have great newsletters too. And your podcast
yes,
is,
yeah. Go get the
yeah.
podcast
And
and see
more, yeah.
if you resonate.
Yeah.
And like for the questions, as you can call my office, which the office number is all over my stuff. If you want to set up a free consult, I'm happy to chat with
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much
Oh,
for
thank
talking with
you.
us.
Yeah,
So amazing. I'll see you
tomorrow.
soon.
No,
Yeah.
no, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Deanna.
Erin.
Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye.